Welcome to Charging the Agency Frontier. Today I'm joined by Erik Huberman, who's the founder and CEO of Hawke Media. I believe it's the fastest growing agency in the country. Is that true? Something I've read recently?
Yeah.
According to Inc. Okay. But they built a business that's been tremendous, positioned as an outsourced CMO. And Erik, I really appreciate your time joining me today. I know you're a busy guy and you do a lot of traveling and a lot of meetings, a lot of leadership stuff, and I've got a big agency at your hands. So just appreciate you joining. Anything you want to intro about yourself before we jump into some questions?
Background's e-commerce, built and sold 2 e-com companies, and then just saw that the marketing world is kind of broken and people weren't having good access to good marketing talent when they needed it, and it wasn't affordable when they found it, and it just didn't make sense to me that the people that need marketing the most couldn't get it. And so, coming from a passion for growing businesses, I was frustrated by it and started hiring a team, tried to build a model that was a little easier to work with and help some companies grow. And now 5 years later, we got 150 people and we've grown about 1,500 brands, and it's been fun.
1,500 brands. That's crazy. Crazy numbers. Tell me about your life before becoming an agency owner. I mean, was it those 2 e-commerce brands you mentioned? Was that your primary focus?
So I graduated in 2008, went into real estate as a commercial broker exactly 1 week to the day before the whole banking industry collapsed. Made $350 that year. It was awesome. Learned what getting into a lot of credit card debt looked like because I lived in Santa Monica, not a cheap place. And then about 6 months into that, started working on the side on an online music company. Built that for 2 years, hired a CEO to take over, and then built and sold 2 fashion subscription companies early in the subscription e-com days, and built some credibility around it, as well as some success and some knowledge around it. So started helping big and small brands navigate the same kind of digital world. And that was 5.5 years ago. 6 months into it, hired a small team because I realized how broken the ecosystem was, and that team turned to this.
Interesting. Nice. So what's unique about your agency? I mean, from a positioning perspective, I work with a ton of agencies on positioning and messaging and how to stand out in the marketplace. I mean, what's been your special sauce, your secret recipe per se for kind of standing out and being different and being something worth talking about versus your run of the mill integrated full service agency kind of language?
Yeah. And it's so funny to me. I'm going to be honest, I truly believe about 99% of the agencies out there are full of shit and shouldn't be selling marketing because they don't know how to market themselves. If an agency comes out and says, I'm a full service marketing agency, they've immediately told me they don't know anything about marketing because they just position themselves as in a bucket of thousands of agencies. So you have no idea what differentiation is, no idea what value proposition is. You literally just miss the basics of marketing, and the amount of people that say that on their website is insane. So the reason that I think number one we stand out is because there are so many bad ones that being good already puts you in the 99th percentile. It's that simple. And then being affordable separates you even more because the good ones generally get expensive. And then I started with a reputation of building and selling companies. So I was already aspirational from the get-go for the clients that we were getting. They wanted to build companies and I had done so. And then through doing that, we built a reputation. We actually performed. We did good work. We had to have a lot of success stories because I just replicated things that I'd already done and know work and know how business is built. And that's a big differentiator too, is we actually have a DNA of how this actually affects the business, not what services can we sell. And I also have always taken a long-term look at what I'm doing. I'm not building this to sell my agency. Starting an agency with the idea of getting liquidity is crazy because the valuations aren't great. So you build it because you plan on running it for a while. And so if I plan on doing this for the next several decades, which I do, it changes the way you do things. I don't try to sell quick services. I try to build long-term relationships with our clients, with our partners, with people around, because I'm not worried about what happens tomorrow. I want to know what's going to happen in 5 to 10 years. And so through doing so, we've developed a kind of methodology around just doing the right thing for the right reasons. We like to think of it as, let's put a camera everywhere in our office and have it live streaming on the internet and not be ashamed of anything we do and be proud of it. That's how we should function. Nothing should be a secret. We should be able to be transparent because we should be able to be proud of everything that goes on here. And through taking that approach, our reputation is followed. We do actually live by those practices. And so people that understand that and work with us generally have good things to say.
Like it. Awesome. So what does your agency do from a capabilities perspective, a service perspective?
Yep. So yeah, another differentiator. So we act as what we call an outsourced CMO and marketing team. So we actually have a fractional CMO service where we go into businesses and place our people that, our senior marketing talent that acts as their part-time CMO. And so that is not common in the marketplace. There's very few companies that have done that, and even fewer that have done it well and actually executed on it. And then from there, we have a pretty wide variety of services, about 40 of them, from SEO, SEM, Facebook advertising, traditional advertising on TV, radio, billboards. We do podcast marketing, Snapchat. We do email marketing and automation. We do SMS. We do chatbots. We do web design, graphic design, product design. We have a wide variety of things that we do. But again, it's all a la carte and month to month. So the idea is, like, depending on what the company needs, we probably have something to service them, which also has been another benefit that we'll never force a company to work with us on services that we don't think are best for the company, because most companies need something, but we're never going to push Facebook out down someone's throat if that doesn't actually make sense for the business right now, versus most media agencies are never going to tell a company, don't spend your money on Facebook, because that's where they're making their money. So it's not as much of an aligned incentive as it is with us, where we actually pay our people a bonus based on how long a company works with us, not how much money they spend or which services they do. So our people are more concerned with the longevity of the business, not pumping some money out of it.
Like it. And how big is Hawke Media from a size perspective? You've gotten, what, 150 something people now?
150.
Okay. Yeah, and that's in 4.5 years, 5 years?
Yeah, just over 5.
Okay. That's a crazy growth rate. How have you kept up with everything and not gone crazy from a scaling perspective and operational perspective, and just figuring things out and how everything operates smoothly? And not to mention, I think you said 1,500 brands. That's a lot of activity. That's a lot of things going on.
There's a lot going on. In terms of not going crazy, it's just not taking it to heart. Like, there's like any growing business, there's pain points, but what I've noticed is we have this rule here we call 6 out of 10. Internally, we know that we're always a 6 out of 10 on what we could be delivering, and we're always striving to be better, because it's like we're not fully failing, but there's a ton of opportunity, and there always is, and there always will be. In the market, though, we know we're one of the best at what we do. And so what I've seen even with our clients, if you have a really good product or service, you can fuck up a lot of other things and still succeed. And so over time, don't get me wrong, we've made huge mistakes and things that have happened on the business operations and things. But at the end of the day, our people were still really good marketers and really cared about their clients. So we've survived through a lot of big pain points while trying to grow very fast.
What do you focus your time on specifically as founder and CEO?
It changes. Right now, it's about a third in the business, helping with day-to-day stuff that I still need to dive in on, legal stuff, accounting stuff, sales methodology, marketing plans, how we're running our operation. Like, I still jump in about a third of my time into that. Another third of my time is really promotional, like speaking engagements, a lot of thought leadership, PR, working with our marketing team. It kind of overlaps there too, but like really helping build the brand and drive business. And another third is true expansion. So we made 2 acquisitions last year. We're looking at making probably 5 more this year in a certain method that we've developed, as well as we just hired our first New York person to build out New York. I'm looking into London and Shanghai as well. I'm going to be in China in May and London in June. What else are we doing? We are about to open our venture fund. We've raised the first tranche of money to actually invest in softwares and services that complement what we do, as well as very unique consumer companies. We've invested in 12 companies off the balance sheet. They've all done well, thank God. And so that kind of track record, and they've done that very well. We're now going to deploy larger capital. And then we also have a partnership with a private equity fund to buy distressed brands, because we've seen mismanagement kill a few businesses that should have been great. And so having the opportunity to like cushion their fall, help the founder out, and then take over and make it great is something that we wanted the opportunity to do. So as I just mentioned, a lot of different things going on, but it's really, how do we turn Hawke Media, how do we make it bigger, and how do we build it into a platform?
Yeah, love it. So I was going to ask, as far as growth and achieving the growth rate that you've achieved, is there a limited set of things that you could attribute that to? Has it been acquisitions? Has it been, prospecting? Has it been word of mouth? Has it been your personal brand and some of the credibility there? What do you think has been kind of the biggest catalyst to growing at this speed?
It's community and service. Like knowing, I always talked about our business like a restaurant. Like before social media, there was a stat that they taught that they did some study, and one bad experience in a restaurant made its way to 206 people pre-social media. So that's why every restaurant's like, just, are your meals on us, whatever, because they know financially it's really stupid to piss off a customer. And so same thing with us, like we just try to take care of people and be reasonable with people and work it out when it doesn't go right, which is actually rare. And then just, again, doing the right thing for the right reasons. And then the real growth has come through community and reputation. So it's word of mouth and referral partnerships and a lot of partners that, send us some business, it goes well, and continue to dump business on us. And then building a lot of those communities has been a huge part.
Gotcha. What about location? Has that been a factor as far as your success? I mean, being in Los Angeles?
Yeah, LA, it's just, I always talk about the characteristic of LA that I don't see in other major cities is the approach to collaboration. You go to New York and you tell another agency you're an agency and they go, oh, you're a competitor, get out. Here, our two biggest competitors in LA, I hang out with on a regular basis. One of them, actually both of them last night at two different events. We go to dinner, we hang out, because we know that there's enough business to go around and they're the two of the only guys doing good work. We're all in this for the same reason, which is we all are passionate about helping companies grow. So like, yeah, we're going to compete, but like, again, there's plenty to go around. None of us are ever going to own the market. And our competitor are all the BS agencies that are overpromising and under-delivering. So we're almost united against the problem. And so that we're fine with it. And that's much more of an LA characteristic than anywhere else, that like you all help each other. I've sent business several times to my biggest competitor and vice versa.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So have you, I'm curious, I haven't really seen outbound sales and sales in general work very well for agencies. I mean, it's a unicorn situation when it does. You've got this hybrid maybe solution where you've got a guy that has the expertise. He's got the sales ability or closing ability, but it's getting it right seems just about impossible. I'm curious about your sales perspective and
we have
outbound efforts. And
we have a 20-person sales team. So from a education and like someone being able to close business perspective, that can be trained. You get the right person you need someone that knows the salesmanship of it is what we found. And teaching the marketing side of it takes a while, but it's not that hard to teach, like at least the initial stuff they need to know to see what a company should start off with us. And we're also very light. So we're not trying to like run a 4-year marketing plan for a company. We're trying to get them to understand what they need to do right now. And so that is easy to teach, is if you have someone that's ambitious and smart. What doesn't work, as I agree with you, is prospecting. It's just, I mean, everything we do comes back to logic. Like imagine getting a phone call just out of the blue today and being like, hey man, you need marketing help? It's like, what's the chance of me saying yes? Oh yeah, thank God you called. Like you're going to run through so many people and then you've got to start the sales process and have the credibility. You just cold called me. The hell are you? I don't know you. I'm not going to give you thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars to like, I've never heard of you before. And so going down that road just doesn't make sense until you have a big reputation. Like the nice thing is now we can actually reach out blindly to some people and they've already heard of us. So that helps. But we still don't do very much of it. We'll prospect in a way of like, we missed you at this event, we'd love to connect, or like, we'll meet people and then follow up, that kind of thing. But we don't just, buy lists and start calling.
If you were an agency now that's prospecting or using outsourced sales to generate leads and opportunities, which most of the time, again, isn't very successful. What advice would you give as far as reallocating that investment? I mean, where would you put those dollars as an agency owner?
So, I mean, again, if you're doing good work, there's going to be an organic growth component that should be great for a while. And it's really just getting out in the world, and it's network. It's knowing a lot of people and being known as the person that does well at what you do. That's what drives the biggest agencies.
Gotcha. So networking, getting out there, conferences, speaking, stuff like that.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I just found this out from my team. So I barely close deals anymore. I haven't really done sales in about 2 years. I stepped out of it, but this quarter, I just got a note from one of my guys that I didn't send enough leads to. So when my sales guy's like, you sent this guy this many, this guy this many, I still have generated, just because of my brand and like my network that I built over the past few years, I had 100 leads come into me personally as like an email intro this quarter, which that was a number shocking to me because I don't keep track of it. I should, but I have so many things going on. I don't actually pay attention. I just constantly like, great to meet you. It's like, there's a lot of, that's from speaking and getting out there and PR and all that. Like now I've never actually tried to quantify it. I just knew in my gut it was working. And now like looking at that number, it's literally from January 1 to today, 96 leads. Or actually, no, I just sent a few out. So like 100.
Wow. I hope you're getting commission on that.
Yeah, me too.
Nice. I had another question. What role, a lot of agencies are looking at professional organizations like Forbes Councils and Ad Age Collective and YEC and EO and entrepreneurial organizations. Yep. I know you're a fellow YEC member and you're in the Ad Age Collective as well. So you guys
Forbes and YPO.
Okay. Yeah. So There we go. So what kind of role do these organizations play? Are they worth the time? Are they worth the investment? If you're a small agency owner, maybe 25-person shop, is this something that you should pursue and get into to kind of level up your connections? I mean, what's the main value?
Yeah. Ad Age is just great for thought leadership. I don't know that I've benefited a ton from knowing other agency owners. Like every once in a while, I meet a really good one that I really like. But being in a whole collective of agency owners,
except through agency stable, of course, a group.
Of course, yeah. No, and by the way, that's what I'm saying. I do meet some that I like, and some that were mutual friends of both of ours. But generally, that's not where I'm getting my benefit. Is like learning from what other agencies are doing, because what's gotten us here is not taking anything for granted and just doing it our way. And so that doesn't help me as much. But you guys help in a lot of ways. But the things that have helped me are more of the CEO groups and things like that, where like, YPO or EO if you're smaller, YPO if you're bigger, going to forum every month and talking through the problems of the business and like getting feedback and like really spilling it all out, almost having CEO group therapy. There's a huge value there because simply knowing other people, this is normal and everyone goes through it. Like we have problems every day, sometimes big ones, sometimes things that like are teetering on catastrophe. And just knowing that that's normal helps you just like get back to focused and fixing it versus stressing and doing all the things that actually are completely counterproductive. And so those are helpful. There's some great networking groups. As I mentioned, network is a huge part of this. So testing different ones out, you will waste time. My business partner likes to tell our employees and our salespeople about this. Like first few years here, I just said yes to everything. And I still pretty much do. Where it's like, yeah, I'll try everything once. I'll go to this event, I'll go to that, I'll go to a cocktail hour, whatever. And I've found myself in rooms where I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? I drove to Palm Springs for a conference, hung out for an hour, jumped back in my car and drove back. It's like 2.5 hour drive. So 5 hours of driving to hang out for an hour at someplace worthless. Cause I was like, this looks good, I'll go. I've gotten better at vetting because and now I can be more selective and I can send other people and let them spend their time. But it took a while to get there. And in the beginning, it was just like, I went to everything and was out everywhere and said yes to everything. Because I also became that guy that was always down. So then people invite you to more because people don't like hearing no. You're only going to be able to say no a few times before they just stop inviting you. Not because they're consciously bitter, but because they just don't expect you to roll.
Yeah. It's a good point. So you got to get out there, Another question I had was search engine marketing and pay-per-click for an agency from a marketing perspective. Valuable or waste of time for agencies, too competitive, too expensive? I know a lot of agencies kind of shy away from it because of just some of the competition and bid prices and haven't really seen good results, but
you got to be good at what you do. It's part of another reason we've been successful is like, we look at the whole marketing mix. We're not looking at like search engine marketing. We're looking at how search engine marketing fits into everything else they're doing. And if you're running a full robust marketing campaign, search actually can perform very well, but you have to be doing everything else right. If you're selling just search marketing, that's hard.
Yeah. And then personal brand, do you regret anything in terms of all the time spent building the personal brand? And I mean, It sounds like no, because you got nearly 100 leads or just over 100 leads. So there's proof in the pudding right there.
Yeah, it's funny because like a lot of people really respect it. You will get, I hate the word, but now I've learned to use it, which is haters. You will absolutely get people that hate on you for posting on social media all the time, talking about yourself, etc. I don't do it because I have an ego or I feel I need to brag. I know that being top of mind is valuable for me. And our mutual friend, John Hall, wrote the book, Top of Mind. Like there's a lot of validity to staying top of mind, committing yourself from short-term to long-term memory. So that when someone goes, who do I call for marketing? They call me.
So what's the future look like? I mean, where do you want to take Hawke Media? Do you want to, double your growth in the next 5 years? I mean, what's the,
we're way more ambitious than that.
Objective?
Yeah. We in the next 6 years, we want to try to get about 6 times the size.
Wow.
And so I haven't actually done the math on how much average growth that is, because obviously it compounds. It's not 100% growth a year, it's less than that, but we're looking to grow about 60% this year. We just moved into a new HQ, which is awesome. We got 27,000 square foot custom built for us. So got a lot of room to grow. And then the vision of this is, I look at like the business model of Accenture with the availability of EY and Deloitte from a marketing perspective. We look at ourselves as a consultancy more than an agency. Agencies are a lot of times middlemaning. They're doing other things. Like, we're very consultative. We're a hand in the business that we're serving. And we want to be able to serve small to massive companies at scale all over the world. And so we just spent a half day, or actually a lot of my team was a full day with EY, learning a lot about their processes too, because we're not competitive. And like, we're trying to figure out, and not trying, we're actually getting to the point where we figured out how to be that to a lot of companies. And so, part of it is just our territory expansion and being in a lot of places, and continuing to build out our infrastructure and our training to be able to keep up with the growth too on a talent side.
Yep. What keeps you up at night?
Not much, honestly. Like, we have no debt. We have no outside investors. I could stop today and just maintain the business. I could stop today and just sell the business and be retired. So I don't really lose sleep. Different things piss me off. Like, I'll get like an irate, crazy client that paid us $2,000 and didn't read their contract or what they were signing up for, and calls us con artists. Because we literally just had this 2 days ago. $2,000 fee. They were in the contract, spend $10,000 on search marketing. We got to $3,000 in spend, and they're like, "Why are you spending my money? Like, spending $10,000 in search?" Like, I didn't agree to that. But went around the internet saying that we're con artists, posted everywhere. I sent her the 2-page contract she signed. She called me, she's like, "Don't you talk down to me." I was trying to be as nice and calm as possible. Irate, crazy people. Those irk at me, but I'm actually doing a lot to get myself out of those conversations as well. And other than that, it's, I constantly am trying to find ways to grow. And like, our growth now, it's become very apparent where we are. It's not just about growing sales or growing territories or driving new revenue. It's a lot of HR and culture and recruiting and training and, those sides of practices. We brought in a new head of people that is awesome, has been here a month and is already like really getting things on track in a great way. And so understanding that is a big part of our growth, not our day-to-day, like not our maintenance, like we actually need that to grow, has become very apparent. So that's been a more recent focus.
All right, 2 more questions for you. If you could go back to when you started the agency, is there anything that you do differently?
The first 6 months I hired at arm's reach, and I can't say I would do it differently because that ended up with my business partner, but the other 6 people weren't with us 6 months later because they all, and a lot of them like turned out in ugly ways in terms of like trying to con me and do things that were a little shady. So having a solid hiring process and training process from the beginning would have helped a little bit. Other than that though, like, I don't think we should have grown faster. I think we grew exactly the speed we needed to grow. And so there's not much I would change.
Gotcha. And then finally, any questions that, or a question that I should have asked that I didn't ask, anything that would be of value to agencies in particular, agency owners, small, mid-sized agency owners that are hungry for growth and kind of look at what you've achieved and just, are thinking to themselves, this is impossible to get to that level that quick. I mean,
yeah,
it's a remarkable story, honestly, because you see a lot of these agencies, and over the course of 5 years, the growth is 10 to 20 people versus your growth. So, any parting advice, parting wisdom?
A few things. One, just as a note, like, feel free to reach out. As I mentioned, we're acquiring agencies. We're looking for territory expansion. We're looking for partners. So always happy to have those conversations, because part of what we found, one part of that I didn't credit for, our growth came from one very specific thing too. My business partner was in the office every day, making sure we executed. We literally had our first email marketer leave on a Monday and just blow off all our clients. And then he spent all weekend, that following weekend, reading Bronto tutorials to learn how to do email marketing. He's smart enough. I took calculus in 3rd grade. He's insane. So he picked it up. So when we had problems along the way on the day-to-day stuff, I didn't have to deal with it. I had a partner to lean back on that I could just keep growing. That was a huge, huge part of like what happened is I focused on growth. He focused on delivering, and that separation. Most agencies don't have that. And it's really hard to find that. His name's Tony. I get asked all the time, help me find a Tony. And so part of the model that we built is like, Hawke Media becomes the Tony to a lot of these agency founders, where you still build your business, you still make great money, but you don't have to deal with a lot of the day-to-day. So that's been some of our acquisitions. So that's an option. Or make sure that you have a bifurcated partnership that someone can't do both at scale. You can't have someone that's outgrowing, building, doing what I can't do this. I'm out of the office half the time. If I was responsible for what was happening here, this place would have fallen apart a long time ago. There's this, trying to remember who talks about this, but there's a Kurt Spock metaphor that it's talked about in some business school. It might be HBS, but it's like if Star Trek didn't have Kurt and Spock, the first episode, if it was just Kurt, they would have crashed into something and died. If it was just Spock, after 3 episodes, people would have been like, this is the most boring thing I've ever fucking seen, and never watched it again. You need both to actually sustain. And that's the same thing with a business. You need CEO, COO relationship is super important. And with an agency, it's really hard to be both, because he and I are very respectful of each other. We actually don't really fight, but we do get into debates about I'm like, people should be working 80 hours a week every week. What the fuck? And he's like, no, because we need to keep our people and keep them happy. It's that balance that you need, that perspective. And you also need someone that's here while you're out. And that's, truly your partner. So very hard to find. It's like finding a wife. We call each other work wife all the time. And it truly feels like a marriage. It's actually harder to separate a business than a marriage. So you're stuck with them. So you got to be careful. But I also knew him for 4 years before starting Hawke. He actually took over my music company for me after 2 years. He was the guy that became CEO. So we knew each other a while before we jumped in fully on this. And that's been a huge, huge part of it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Similar story. My partner, Jason, I mean, he's definitely selling and scaling, and he's on the operational side. I'm more on the sales and personal brand, thought leadership, that kind of stuff. And it works well. It's a partnership made in heaven, but it's hard to find. I've had previous partnerships that weren't so good to me. So a lot to be grateful for. Well, very good. I appreciate the brain dump, the insights, the information. I think it's great. How can people get in touch with you if they want to reach out?
Yeah, I mean, even email me, just e@hawkemedia.com, and Hawke has an E at the end. It's super easy.
Okay, that accessible. All right. And then your red Tesla, doing well?
Yeah, got it. Yeah, that, by the way, crazy little story there. Had my lease was up in a month, at a BMW, tried to negotiate with them for a new one. They were being pretentious about it, and I can't stand that. I don't buy cars because I want to be flashy. I buy cars because I like them. And I'm like, you know what, screw you. Gave them the keys, just take it back early, because I was able to turn it in early. Ordered a Tesla through Apple Pay on the Uber drive back to my office, which down payment, to be clear. People have looked at me. I'm like, no, just down payment. I got the Model 3. It delivered yesterday. So Monday to 3 days, and I get a brand new Tesla delivered to me. It was like,
That's awesome.
My buddy convinced me. I drove in. It was awesome. But my buddy kept yelling, it's the car of the future, bro. You got to get it. And I get what he's saying now. It is truly a car of the future.
That's awesome. Congrats, man. Congrats. Thanks, man. Deserve it. Cool. I appreciate your time, and thanks for being on the show.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Erik.